The sky above Luminar Prime was filled with fire. Not the warm, life-giving light of their twin suns, but the burning trails of Void Dominion warships entering the atmosphere. The Luminar had known this day might come. For centuries, they had watched as the Dominion spread across the stars like a cancer, consuming world after world. Ilio stood at the great observatory, his 4 delicate arms adjusting the controls of the ancient transmitter. Around him, the last members of the Luminar High Council waited in silence. Their skin, normally a shimmering blue that reflected their emotional state, had faded to a dull gray of despair. "The transmitter is ready," Elio announced, his voice barely above a whisper. "But I must remind the council once more. We do not know who or what might answer." Elder Thela, her age showing in the wrinkles around her large almond-shaped eyes, stepped forward. "We have tried diplomacy. We have offered trade, knowledge, even surrender. The Void Dominion desires only one thing: complete control. We have no choice but to send the call." The other council members murmured in agreement. The Luminar were a peaceful species. In their 50,000 years of civilization, they had never developed weapons. Their biology simply lacked the capacity for violence. Their hands could not form fists. Their minds could not comprehend the desire to harm another being. It was both their greatest achievement and now their greatest weakness. "Very well," Elio said. He pressed his palm against the ancient control panel. The device had been built by their ancestors, who once feared that threats might exist among the stars. Over time, as the Luminar encountered only friendly species or empty worlds, the device had become a museum piece, a curiosity from a more fearful time. Until now, the great transmitter hummed to life, drawing power from the planet's core. Its crystal spire began to glow, first blue, then white, then a color that had no name in any language. The call would not be sent as a message, not as words or images or any conventional form of communication. Instead, it would transmit the pure emotional essence of the Luminar's plea. "Help us. Protect us. Save us." "How will they understand?" asked a younger council member. "The transmitter does not speak to the mind," Elder Thela explained. "It speaks to something deeper, something primal. It will find those who can help us, who can do what we cannot." High above, the Void Dominion ships began their bombardment. Not to destroy. The Dominion never destroyed what it could use, but to frighten, to weaken, to prepare the way for ground troops that would enslave the entire population. The transmitter's beam shot into space, invisible to normal sight but cutting through the fabric of space-time itself. The call would travel faster than light, carried on pathways the Luminar themselves didn't fully understand. It would reach thousands of worlds, seeking those with the capacity to fight, to defend, to stand against the darkness. "Now we wait," Elio said, as the observatory shook from a nearby impact. "And hope." On Earth, it was an ordinary Tuesday morning. Dr. Sarah Chen looked up from her computer in confusion. The monitoring equipment was going crazy, but there was no explanation for the readings she was seeing. As the head researcher at the Global Animal Behavior Research Center in Kenya, she had been tracking unusual patterns in wildlife migration for months. "But this was different, James," she called to her assistant. "Are you seeing this?" James Taylor, a lanky postdoc with perpetually messy hair, was already staring at his own screen in disbelief. "It's happening everywhere, Dr. Chen, not just the preserve. Reports are coming in from around the world." On their monitors, video feeds showed strange behavior across multiple species. A pride of lions had formed a perfect circle, sitting completely still, their eyes focused on the sky. A family of elephants stood trunk to tail in a pattern that looked almost geometric. In the nearby river, crocodiles had arranged themselves in a straight line, perfectly spaced, completely motionless. "This isn't possible," Sarah muttered, pulling up more feeds. "There's no evolutionary explanation for this level of coordination across different species." Her phone rang. It was Dr. Martin Wong from the Marine Mammal Research Center in Hawaii. Before she could even say hello, his excited voice burst through the speaker. "Sarah, are you seeing this? Every pod of dolphins we track has surfaced in perfect formation. They're staying in place, making sounds we've never recorded before. It's happening here too, Martin." "Not just dolphins, everything. What could cause this?" Martin asked, his voice dropping to a whisper. Sarah looked at the global map on her wall screen, where red dots were appearing faster than she could count, each representing a report of unusual animal behavior. "I don't know," she admitted, "but whatever it is, it's affecting them all at once. all over the world. In Washington, D.C., General Frank Harris was having the strangest briefing of his 30-year military career. "Run that by me again," he said, his bushy eyebrows drawn together in confusion. The young intelligence officer cleared his throat. "Sir, at approximately 600 hours Eastern Time, we began receiving reports of unusual animal behavior worldwide. At first, we thought it might be related to seismic activity or atmospheric conditions, but there's no correlation." "And you're telling me that my bird-watching neighbor's parakeet is part of this?" "Yes, sir. Domestic animals are displaying the same behaviors as wildlife. Dogs, cats, birds, even hamsters. They seem to be responding to some kind of signal." The general rubbed his face. "A signal? From where?" Another officer stepped forward, this one from NASA. "Sir, we detected an unusual energy pattern originating from a star system about 40 light-years away. It arrived on Earth at precisely the time the animal behavior began." The room fell silent. "Are you telling me," General Harris said slowly, "that aliens are talking to our pets?" "Not exactly, sir," the NASA representative said. "The signal doesn't seem to be communicating information in a conventional sense. It's more like an emotional broadcast. Our best analysts suggest it's some kind of distress call." General Harris looked around the room at the assembled experts, scientists, military strategists, intelligence officers, and saw the same bewilderment on every face. "Get me the president," he said. In a small apartment in Chicago, Mia Rodriguez was trying to understand why her cat, Whiskers, had been sitting in the same spot for 6 hours, staring at the ceiling. "Come on, buddy," she said, waving a treat in front of his face. "This is getting weird." Whiskers didn't blink. His yellow eyes remained fixed on a point somewhere beyond the ceiling, his tail occasionally twitching in a steady rhythm. On the news, reports were coming in about similar behavior in animals worldwide, but no one had any explanation. Then something changed. Whiskers stood up, stretched, and looked directly at Mia. There was something different in his eyes, something that made her step back. It wasn't threatening, but it was aware. More aware than any cat should be. Whiskers walked to her laptop, which was open on the coffee table, and placed his paw on the keyboard. Then he began to type. Mia watched in shock as words appeared on the screen. "They need help. We must go." Around the world, the pattern repeated. Animals began to communicate, through computers, by arranging objects through patterns of movement that humans could record and translate. The message was always the same. A distant civilization was in danger, and Earth's animals had heard their call. Scientists were baffled. Religious leaders declared it a miracle or a sign of the end times. Governments held emergency sessions. But while humans talked and debated and theorized, Earth's animals had already made their decision. They would answer the call. And they needed humanity's help to do it. In the depths of space, the Void Dominion continued its assault on Luminar Prime, unaware that their next conquest had set in motion events they could never have predicted. They had faced resistance before, desperate last stands, heroic sacrifices, even occasional tactical victories by their opponents. But they had never encountered anything like what was coming. They had never faced the beasts of Earth. On Luminar Prime, as the first Dominion ground troops began to land, Elio looked up at the night sky and wondered if anyone had heard their plea. The transmitter had gone silent, its ancient systems burned out from the power surge. "Did it work?" he asked Elder Thala, who stood beside him in the ruins of the observatory. She placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "We will know soon enough." Neither of them could have imagined what form their salvation would take, or how the arrival of Earth's most unlikely warriors would change the fate of galaxies forever. The call had been sent. And it had been heard, not by great empires or advanced civilizations, but by creatures who knew instinctively what it meant to protect their own, to fight for survival, to stand against predators. The beasts of Earth were coming, and the stars would never be the same. The world's greatest minds gathered in an emergency summit at the United Nations headquarters in New York. Scientists, military leaders, government officials, and technology experts sat around a massive table, faced with a situation no human had ever imagined possible. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the podium, her presentation displayed on the giant screen behind her. For the past week, animals across Earth have shown signs of dramatically increased intelligence and communication abilities, she explained. Our tests confirm this is not a hoax or mass hallucination. Something has changed in their neural patterns. She clicked to the next slide, showing brain scans of various animals, a wolf, an elephant, a dolphin, even a house cat. These areas, she pointed to highlighted regions, show activity similar to human language processing centers. But there's something else, a new pattern we've never seen before, identical across all species. We believe this is how they're communicating with each other. General Harris spoke up from his seat. The question is, what are they saying? And what does it have to do with the signal from space? A commotion at the back of the room drew everyone's attention. A woman was arguing with security guards. Please, they asked me to bring him, she insisted. Dr. Chen recognized her. Let her in, she called. That's Mia Rodriguez. We invited her. The guard stepped aside and Mia entered carrying a pet carrier. She walked to the front of the room and placed it on the table. When she opened the door, Whiskers the cat stepped out, surveyed the room with unusual calmness, then sat down facing the assembly. This is ridiculous, muttered a European diplomat. Whiskers turned to look at the man, then walked to a tablet computer that had been set up on the table. Using his paw with surprising precision, he began to type. The words appeared on the main screen for all to see. We hear the call. A world needs defenders. They cannot fight. We can. The room erupted in chaos. Questions shouted from every direction. Whiskers continued typing. Humans build, animals fight, together we go, together we save. Dr. Chen raised her hands for quiet. How can we understand you now? How is this possible? Whiskers typed again. The call woke us, gave us voice. Time limited. Must prepare. Prepare for what? General Harris asked, leaning forward. Journey to stars. Save the innocent. Fight the darkness. 3 months later, the impossible had become reality. In facilities around the world, humans and animals worked together in a partnership unlike anything in Earth's history. At NASA's Johnson Space Center, engineers worked alongside a council of Earth's most intelligent animals to design spacecraft that could carry their unusual crew. The animals communicated their needs. Wolves required pack spaces, eagles needed flight rooms. Dolphins requested water chambers that could simulate ocean currents. Dr. Chen had been appointed head of the Animal Communication Division, a new branch of the recently formed Earth Defense Initiative. Her job was to improve the translation, devices that allowed humans and animals to communicate more efficiently. The neural link is getting stronger, she told General Harris during an inspection of the main facility. We're developing implants that allow direct thought transmission between humans and their animal partners. They watched through a window as a team of handlers worked with a group of wolves. The wolves moved in complex formations, responding to commands that hadn't been spoken aloud. It's still hard to believe, Harris said. A month ago I was worried about missile defense systems, and now I'm watching wolves train for space combat. They're naturals, Sarah replied. Their pack hunting strategies are incredibly sophisticated. The Void Dominion won't know what hit them. In another area, elephants demonstrated their strength by moving heavy equipment with careful precision. Their natural intelligence, enhanced by the mysterious signal, made them quick learners. They understood the mission better than anyone had expected. What about the dolphins? Harris asked. That's the most impressive program, Sarah said, leading him to another section. They're not just fighters, they've become navigators. Something about their echolocation has evolved. They can sense space-time distortions, plot courses through star systems. It's like they were born for this. Through a large viewing window, they could see dolphins swimming in a specially designed tank, interacting with 3D star maps projected into the water. And the cats? Harris asked with a hint of skepticism. Sarah smiled. Come see for yourself. They entered a room where dozens of cats, from house cats to tigers, were engaged in what looked like a military exercise. They moved silently, hiding, pouncing, coordinating their attacks with frightening efficiency. Ambush predators, Sarah explained. They're natural infiltrators. The bigger cats provide muscle. The smaller ones can get into tight spaces. Together, they're the perfect special operations team. A large Bengal tiger approached them, and Sarah knelt down without fear. The tiger pressed its head against a translation device on her wrist. A mechanical voice spoke. Training progresses well. When do we leave? Soon, General Harris answered. The ships are almost ready. The tiger nodded, a very human gesture, and returned to its team. What about dogs? Harris asked as they left the room. They're our coordinators, Sarah explained. Their natural desire to work with humans makes them perfect for command roles. They bridge the gap between species. They passed a room where dogs of various breeds were studying tactical displays and communication systems. It's like they've been waiting for this moment, Sarah said quietly. Like they've always known they were meant for something more than just being our pets. At the United Nations, the Security Council was in session. The topic: the launch of humanity's first interstellar defense fleet. The technology is untested, argued the Chinese representative. We're sending Earth's animals into space based on a signal we barely understand. The animals understand it, countered the American ambassador. And they've helped us develop the technology. The neural enhancement they've experienced has accelerated our research by decades. The Secretary General called for order. We've all seen the evidence. The Luminar civilization is real and they are under attack. The question before us is not whether to respond, but how. Reports from the new deep space telescopes confirmed what the animals had somehow already known. A civilization 40 light-years away was under assault by a force that matched the descriptions the animals had provided of the void. Dominion. Our finest scientific minds have examined every aspect of this mission, said the British representative. The wormhole generation technology developed with the Dolphin's assistance will get our fleet there in weeks, not decades. The combat capabilities of our animal partners have been thoroughly tested, and the Luminar's distress signal continues to broadcast. They are still fighting, still surviving. The vote was unanimous. Operation Wild Rescue would proceed. On launch day, crowds gathered at viewing sites around the world. The Earth Defense Fleet consisted of 12 massive ships, each designed to carry both human support crews and the animals that would serve as the actual fighting force. Mia Rodriguez stood on the observation deck at Cape Canaveral, watching as the first ship prepared for takeoff. Beside her, in a special environment suit, Whiskers sat calmly. "Are you scared?" she asked him. Whiskers used his paw to type on the small device attached to his suit. Not scared. Finally, purpose. Mia had been selected as one of the human handlers for the cat division, partly because of Whiskers' role in the early communications. Over the past months, she had trained alongside him, learning to support his new abilities while he learned to fight in zero gravity. "I never thought my pet cat would end up saving an alien civilization," she said with a small laugh. "Always more than pet, always. Warrior humans never saw." The countdown began. On the launch pad, the massive ship, named Earth's Pride after its primary contingent of big cats, hummed with power. In the ship's bridge, Dr. Sarah Chen and General Harris monitored the final preparations. Around them, dogs in special interface harnesses coordinated with their human counterparts. "All systems go," reported a German shepherd through its translation device. "Animal quarters secure. Dolphins report wormhole calculations complete." Sarah looked at the monitors showing the various sections of the ship. Wolves were strapped into their launch pods. Eagles and hawks were secured in their aviary. The big cats, lions, tigers, leopards waited in their deployment bays. In the aquatic center, dolphins and even a few trained sharks floated in their pressurized tanks. "Who would have thought?" General Harris said quietly. "All these years we've been looking to the stars, wondering if we were alone, preparing to meet other intelligent species. And the answer was right here beside us the whole time." "They needed the call," Sarah replied. "Something to wake them up, to connect them. And we needed a reason to really see them." The final countdown reached 0, and Earth's Pride lifted off in a column of fire. Around the world, the other ships of the fleet did the same, carrying Earth's most unlikely warriors to their first interstellar battle. In orbit, the ships assembled into formation. The Dolphins activated their newly developed wormhole generators, tearing holes in the fabric of space. One by one, the ships of the Earth Defense Fleet disappeared into the swirling vortices, bound for a distant star and a civilization that had pleaded for champions. They had asked for help, for protectors, for warriors who could stand against the darkness. And Earth had answered. Not the void Dominion Commander Vrax stood on the bridge of his flagship, observing the subjugation of Luminar Prime with cold satisfaction. His gray-scaled skin reflected the harsh lighting of the command center as he studied the tactical displays. "Resistance in the eastern continent has been crushed," reported his second-in-command. "The mining operations are proceeding on schedule. And the transmission device? Vrax asked, his voice a low rumble. Destroyed, Commander. Whatever message they sent, no one will come to their aid. The Luminar are alone, as all our conquests are alone, Vrax nodded. The Void Dominion had conquered 17 star systems in the past century. None had received help from outside. The galaxy was vast and uncaring, filled with civilizations that looked after their own interests. No one risked themselves for strangers. A junior officer approached nervously. Commander, our deep space sensors have detected anomalies at the edge of the system. What kind of anomalies? Vrax asked sharply. Energy signatures we've never seen before. 12 objects emerging from what appear to be artificial wormholes. Vrax's posture stiffened. Ships? Yes, Commander. But we can't identify their configuration or origin. Vrax turned to the main view screen. Show me. The screen lit up with a distant view of space. 12 massive vessels had appeared where empty space had been moments before. They were unlike any ships Vrax had ever seen, sleek but strangely designed, with sections that seemed built for different purposes and environments. Hail them, he ordered. The communications officer worked at his console. No response, Commander. Scan them for weapons. Another pause. Scanning. This is strange, Commander. We're detecting life forms, but the readings are diverse, not consistent with any known spacefaring species. Vrax's eyes narrowed. What do you mean, diverse? Multiple species on each ship, sir. Hundreds of different biological signatures. Before Vrax could respond, the tactical officer called out, Commander, they're deploying smaller vessels. Attack craft heading for the planet's surface. Vrax watched as swarms of smaller ships launched from the 12 capital ships. Intercept them. All fighters engage. The Earth fleet arrived at Luminar Prime with stunning precision. The Dolphin navigators had guided them through the wormholes with an accuracy that stunned even the human scientists. In the command center of Earth's Pride, Dr. Sarah Chen and General Harris monitored the situation as their canine coordinators managed the flow of information. Dominion forces detected, reported a German shepherd named Max through his translator. Their fleet is moving to intercept our dropships. Deploy the Eagles first, General Harris ordered. We need eyes on the battlefield. Throughout the fleet, launch bays opened. Eagles, Hawks, Falcons, and Owls, each equipped with specially designed interface helmets that recorded everything they saw, shot into space. Their wings unnecessary in the vacuum, but their sharp eyes essential. Eagle Squadron reporting. Came the translated voice of a golden eagle named Skyfire. Dominion ships are primitive by our standards. Bulky, slow. The Luminar city networks are visible from orbit. We also see Dominion ground bases. Transmitting visual data now. The screens filled with tactical information as the birds soared through space, their natural eyesight enhanced by their helmets. They located the main Dominion bases, the prison camps where Luminar were being held, and the remaining resistance strongholds. Perfect, said General Harris. Now launch the first wave. Vrax's fighter squadrons moved to intercept the incoming Earth vessels, their weapons charged and ready. But as they approached, something strange happened. The Earth ships suddenly scattered in all directions, moving with an unpredictability that made them nearly impossible to target. What kind of pilots are these? Demanded the Dominion squadron leader. His question was answered moments later when his sensors got a clear reading on one of the passing ships. There was no pilot, at least not in any conventional sense. Instead, his scanners showed a four-legged creature with fur and teeth. Commander Vrax. He called over the comm. The enemy ships, they're piloted by animals. On the flagship, Vrax stared at the data in disbelief. The small attack craft from Earth contained wolves, large cats, and other predatory species from a world he'd never encountered. They weren't controlling the ships with technology. They were neurally linked to the vessels themselves, making the ships extensions of their own bodies, and they moved like nothing the Dominion had ever faced. The wolf pack led by Alpha, a massive gray timber wolf, streaked through the Dominion fighter formation. Their ships moved as the wolves themselves would, lunging, feinting, circling behind their prey. 5 Dominion fighters exploded in quick succession, caught off guard by tactics that followed no recognizable military doctrine. They fight like machines, Alpha reported back to the command ship. No instinct, no adaptation. They expect us to follow patterns. In another sector, the big cats engaged. Lions, tigers, and jaguars piloted their vessels with deadly grace, stalking the larger Dominion cruisers, finding weak points, Striking with surgical precision, a tiger named Raja led his squadron in an attack on a Dominion destroyer, timing their assault to match the ship's shield rotation cycle, a weakness spotted by the Eagles. Target engines disabled, Raja reported, moving to weapon systems. These prey are slow, no challenge. On the surface of Luminar Prime, the Dominion ground forces were completely unprepared for what came next. Drop pods rained from the sky, landing in strategic locations across the occupied territories. From them emerged Earth's ground assault teams, bears, more wolves, big cats, even specially trained gorillas and elephants, each equipped with combat harnesses and neural translators. They moved through the Dominion bases like vengeful spirits. The Dominion soldiers, used to facing technologically advanced but physically weak opponents, had no defense against raw animal strength and speed. A squad of Dominion troops found themselves surrounded by a wolf pack that coordinated with uncanny intelligence, communicating with subtle ear and tail movements while they closed the circle. In the Dominion command post, security cameras captured the image of a Siberian tiger walking calmly through the front entrance. Alarms blared. Soldiers fired energy weapons. The tiger moved like water between the beams, then attacked with claws and teeth that tore through the Dominion's armor as if it were paper. In the mountains, Elio and his small group of Luminar resistance fighters watched in awe as strange vessels descended from the sky. They had been hiding in caves, surviving on native plants, always one step ahead of Dominion patrols. "What are they?" whispered a young Luminar named Kira. Elio shook his head. "Not like any ships I've seen before." The vessels landed in a clearing below their cave. The doors opened and Elio's eyes widened in shock. Creatures emerged, four-legged, covered in fur, with sharp teeth and alert eyes. Behind them came taller beings that walked on two legs like the Luminar, but were clearly of a different species. "Stay back," Elio warned the others. "We don't know if they're friendly." One of the two-legged beings looked up at the cave entrance and raised a hand in greeting. Then one of the four-legged creatures, brown with a long snout and alert ears, approached the cave, alone and without weapons. Elio hesitated, then stepped forward. The creature sat down a few meters away and activated a device on its harness. "We received your call," said a mechanical voice. "I am Scout of Earth's Canine Division. We have come to help." Dr. Sarah Chen led the first diplomatic team to meet with the Luminar resistance. With her were Scout and 3 other dogs who had been trained as intermediaries. The meeting took place in the largest cave of the resistance hideout, lit by the soft glow of Luminar light crystals. Elio and the other Luminar were still in shock. You heard our call?" Elio asked. "But that was meant to reach warriors, beings who could fight for us." "It reached exactly who it was meant to reach," Sarah explained. "On our world, Earth, humans like me evolved alongside these animals. We built civilizations, but they perfected hunting, fighting, and survival. Your call awakened something in them, a heightened intelligence, a ability to communicate across species. They understood what you needed." Kira approached Scout cautiously, her 4 slender hands clasped in the Luminar gesture of greeting. "You came across the stars to help strangers?" Scout's translator conveyed his response. "The call spoke to us. We understand what it means to protect the pack. All Earth is our pack now, and now you are too." Elio looked skeptical. "But how can you defeat the Dominion?" "They have ships, weapons, armies," Sarah smiled. "You're thinking like the Dominion, in terms of technology and numbers. Our advantage is something they can't understand or predict. The natural hunting instincts of Earth's most successful predators, combined with human technology and coordination." She activated a holographic display showing the battle in orbit and the ground operations already underway. Dominion ships were being systematically disabled by wolfpack tactics and big cat precision strikes. On the surface, bears and gorillas were dismantling Dominion ground vehicles, while elephants used their strength to breach the walls of prison compounds. Even now, our smaller teams are infiltrating the main Dominion command centers, Sarah explained. Rats, snakes, even in 2 months after the liberation of Luminar Prime, the planet had transformed. Where once there had been Dominion occupation bases, now stood Earth Luminar cooperative centers. The gentle, peace-loving Luminar worked alongside human scientists and engineers, while Earth's animals trained them in the basics of defense. In what had once been the main Dominion command center, now repurposed as Earth Force headquarters, Dr. Sarah Chen reviewed the latest intelligence reports with General Harris and the Animal Command Team. The Dominion fleet has regrouped at their nearest stronghold, Sarah said, pointing to a star system displayed on the holographic map. According to the prisoners we captured, they're preparing a counterattack. Raja the tiger paced near the table, his neural translator hanging from his combat harness. "Let them come," the mechanical voice conveyed. "We defeated them once. We will do so again." "It won't be that simple this time," General Harris cautioned. "They know what they're facing now. They'll adapt their tactics." Scout, who had become the primary liaison between the animals and the Luminar, tilted his head thoughtfully. "Then we must teach the Luminar to defend themselves. They cannot rely on us forever." Elio, who had been appointed as the Luminar representative to the Earth forces, looked uncertain. "My people have no history of warfare. Our bodies, our minds. We are not made for violence." Alpha, the wolf pack leader, approached the Luminar. Even standing on 4 legs, his massive form conveyed power and confidence. "Not violence," his translator spoke. "Protection. Different concept. Violence destroys. Protection preserves." Elder Thala, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. "Perhaps we have more to offer than we realize. Our technology, our understanding of cosmic energies, these could be weapons in the right context." Sarah nodded. "That's exactly what we need to explore. Each species bringing their strengths to the Alliance." In the following weeks, a unique training program took shape. The Luminar could not become fighters in the traditional sense. Their slender bodies and gentle natures made physical combat impossible. But they had other gifts that, when combined with Earth's animals' instincts, created something entirely new. In a large training arena, a group of wolves demonstrated hunting tactics to an audience of fascinated Luminar. The wolves moved as a perfect unit, communicating with subtle ear flicks and tail positions. Through translators, they explained their strategies. "Pack is strength," Alpha explained. "Each member has role. Each understands the others without words. Luminar must learn this unity." The Luminar, with their natural empathic abilities, grasped this concept quickly. Soon, mixed teams of Luminar and Earth animals began to form. The Luminar couldn't fight, but they could coordinate, communicate, and use their technology to support their animal partners. In another area, elephants demonstrated how to use their massive strength to move defensive barriers. The Luminar, using their advanced materials science, began designing lightweight but extremely strong mobile fortifications that the elephants could deploy rapidly. Their minds worked differently than ours. Dr. Chen observed to General Harris as they watched a group of Luminar engineers working alongside bears to create new defensive systems. They think in terms of harmony and balance, not attack and defense. But when you combine that with our animals' instinctive understanding of territory and protection, you get something the Dominion has never faced before, Harris finished. Not just better fighters, but a completely different philosophy of warfare. Commander Vrax knelt before the Supreme Director of the Void Dominion, his head bowed in shame. The Director's chamber was kept in perpetual darkness, with only a single shaft of light illuminating the petitioner. The Director himself remained in shadow, his voice echoing from the darkness. "You lost an entire fleet to animals," the Director said, each word dripping with contempt. "You have brought disgrace to the Dominion." "Supreme Director," Vrax replied, "these were no ordinary animals. They possessed intelligence, coordination, and fighting skills beyond anything we have encountered, and they were supported by another species, bipedal beings with advanced technology." "Excuses," the Director hissed. "The Dominion does not accept failure. Give me another chance," Vrax pleaded. "Now that I understand what we face, I can develop countermeasures. I will retake Luminar Prime and destroy these Earth creatures." There was a long silence from the darkness. "Very well," the Director finally said. "You will have a new fleet, 3 times the size of your previous one. You will have our latest weapons technology, and you will have one opportunity to redeem yourself. Fail again, and your name will be struck from Dominion records." Vrax bowed lower. "I will not fail, Supreme Director. See that you don't. Now go. Prepare your forces." As Vrax left the chamber, the Director turned to an aide waiting in the shadows. "Send infiltration teams to Luminar Prime. I want to know everything about these Earth creatures, their weaknesses, their vulnerabilities. If they can be broken, I want to know how." On Luminar Prime, training continued. The dolphins, working from specially designed water chambers, developed a new navigation system that could detect incoming wormholes before they fully formed. This early warning system would give the Allied forces crucial minutes to prepare for any Dominion attack. "They're coming," announced Wavecrest, the lead Dolphin navigator, during a briefing session. "Our sensors detect wormhole energy signatures forming at the edge of the system. Larger than before. Many ships." General Harris immediately activated the alert system. Throughout the planet, defense teams moved into position. The strategy they had developed over the past months would now be put to the test. Unlike the first battle, they would not meet the Dominion in space. Instead, they would draw them down to the surface, where the combined Earth-Luminar forces had prepared the battlefield to their advantage. "All teams, report readiness," Harris commanded, one by one. The various animal divisions confirmed their positions. Wolfpack teams in place. Cat division, ready. Bear units standing by. Avian reconnaissance, active. Marine team monitoring approach. Vectors. Insect infiltrators deployed. The Luminar support teams reported next, each paired with their animal counterparts. They had embraced their new role not as warriors, but as enablers, using their technology and intelligence to amplify the natural abilities of Earth's animals. "They think they know what they're facing," Sarah said quietly as they watched the tactical display showing the approaching Dominion fleet. "They have no idea." Commander Vrax stood on the bridge of his new flagship, watching as his armada emerged from the wormholes near Luminar Prime. This time, he was prepared. His ships were equipped with new weapons, specifically designed to counter the tactics used by Earth's animals in the previous battle. "No response to our hails," reported his communications officer. "As expected," Vrax said. "Commence the attack. All ships begin orbital bombardment of the designated targets." The Dominion fleet moved into position around Luminar Prime and opened fire. Massive energy beams struck the surface, targeting what their intelligence suggested were key Earth Force installations. "Sir," called the sensor officer. "Scans show minimal damage. The targets appear to be empty." Vrax frowned. "What about life signs?" "Scattered, moving. It's difficult to get clear readings." A sudden realization struck Vrax. "It's a trap. They're drawing us in." But it was too late to change course. His orders from the Supreme Director were clear. "Reclaim the planet at any cost. Launch ground forces," he commanded. "All units, full assault." On the surface, Dr. Chen and General Harris monitored the battle from a mobile command post hidden deep in the mountains. With them were Scout and Alpha, coordinating their forces through the neural network that linked all Earth animals. "The Dominion troops are landing exactly where we predicted," Sarah noted, watching the tactical display. "They think they're hunting us," Alpha's translator conveyed. "Do not realize they are prey." The Dominion had landed their forces in what appeared to be abandoned Earth Luminar bases. Their troops moved with caution, clearly expecting ambushes, but no attacks came. Instead, something more subtle was happening. Small creatures, rats, mice, insects, had infiltrated the Dominion suits and equipment during the landing. Now, inside the supposedly secure perimeters, they began their work, chewing through wiring, disabling communications, creating small but critical failures in the Dominion technology. Meanwhile, the Luminar had activated their planetary defense system, not weapons, but a network of energy fields that disrupted the Dominion's sensors and communications. The invaders suddenly found themselves isolated, cut off from their command structure, unable to coordinate. "Now," ordered General Harris. The real attack began. From hidden positions around the landing zones, Earth's animals emerged. But this time they weren't alone. Each animal team was supported by Luminar, using their technology in ways the Dominion never anticipated. Wolves charged Dominion squads, but now they ran through Luminar-created energy fields that made them partially intangible, impossible to hit with conventional weapons. Big cats struck with claws enhanced by Luminar metallurgy, capable of slicing through Dominion armor like paper. In the skies, eagles and hawks, their vision augmented by Luminar optics, directed smaller birds, sparrows, finches, even hummingbirds equipped with tiny disruptor devices. These bird swarms overwhelmed Dominion air defenses, too small and fast to win. Year after the defeat of the Void Dominion forces at Luminar Prime, the galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The news of Earth's unusual defenders had spread across star systems, carried by traders, refugees, and even former Dominion soldiers who had witnessed the battles firsthand. In the Grand Council chamber of Luminar Prime, representatives from 27 worlds gathered for the founding conference of what would become known as the Stellar Alliance. The chamber had been redesigned to accommodate the diverse physiologies of the attendees: water tanks for aquatic species, low-gravity sections for those from lighter worlds, and a variety of temperature zones. Dr. Sarah Chen, now serving as Earth's ambassador, stood at the central podium alongside Elder Thala. Seated in special sections throughout the chamber were the true heroes of the past year, Earth's animals, who had not only defended Luminar Prime, but gone on to help liberate 6 other worlds from Dominion control. 1 year ago, Sarah began, a call went out across the stars, a plea for help from a peaceful people facing destruction. That call reached Earth, but not as anyone expected. It awakened something in our animal companions, a dormant potential for greater intelligence, for communication across species barriers, for cooperation beyond anything we had imagined possible. She gestured to the assembled animals: wolves, big cats, bears, eagles, dolphins in their hover tanks, and many others. They came to defend strangers. They fought not for conquest or resources, but for the simple principle that the strong must protect those who cannot protect themselves. This is the foundation of the alliance we propose today. Elder Thala stepped forward, her slender form graceful despite her advanced age. The Luminar have always believed in peace and harmony, in the interconnectedness of all living things. We thought these principles made us vulnerable in a hostile galaxy. What we have learned is that they make us strong, when we stand together with others who share our vision. One by one, representatives from other worlds rose to speak. A towering crystalline being from Novaria described how Earth's bears had helped drive Dominion forces from their mining colonies. A small furred creature from Talax told of dolphins guiding their ships through dangerous nebulae to escape Dominion pursuit. A gaseous entity from Mistworld related how Earth's birds had coordinated the resistance that ultimately freed their cloud cities. The Void Dominion believed that strength came from conquest, said a former Dominion officer who had defected after witnessing the liberation of Luminar Prime. We were wrong. True strength comes from diversity, from cooperation, from each species contributing its unique gifts to the whole. As the speeches continued, Scout moved to sit beside Sarah. His translator conveyed his quiet observation. Pack grows larger. Beyond what we imagined, Sarah nodded. Are you surprised? No, natural order. Strong protect weak. Weak become strong. Circle of life, but across stars now. The formal founding of the Stellar Alliance was unanimously approved. Its charter established 3 core principles: mutual defense, cultural exchange, and ecological preservation. Earth's animals would serve as the Alliance's primary defensive force, while other species would contribute technology, resources, and knowledge. After the ceremony, a reception was held in the gardens surrounding the council chamber. Here, in a less formal setting, the true nature of the new alliance was on display. A group of Talaxian children played with Earth kittens, learning each other's games. Novarian scientists discussed engineering concepts with beavers, whose dam-building instincts had proven remarkably adaptable to space habitat construction. Luminar botanists worked alongside elephants to cultivate new plant species that could thrive on multiple worlds. It's remarkable, General Harris said to Sarah as they watched the interactions. A year ago, most of these species didn't know Earth existed. Now they're treating our animals like long-lost family. That's exactly what they are, Sarah replied. The call didn't just reach Earth by accident. There's something fundamental that connects all life, something that transcends the barriers of evolution and geography. The Luminar found a way to tap into that connection, even if they didn't fully understand what they were doing. Harris nodded thoughtfully. And the Dominion? The Supreme Director hasn't given up from what our intelligence suggests. No, but they're facing internal problems now. Multiple worlds are in open rebellion inspired by what happened here. And without their forward bases, they can't project power like they used to. A commotion near the central fountain drew their attention. Raja the tiger had entered the reception, accompanied by his mate and 3 cubs. The tiger family moved with dignified grace through the crowd, the adults watching protectively as the cubs explored their surroundings with playful curiosity. That's new, Harris remarked. I didn't know Raja had started a family. Many of the animals have, Sarah said. They're settling here, building lives. The next generation will be born into this new reality. Earth animals as galactic citizens, defenders of the peace. And the humans? What's our role in all this? Sarah smiled. We're the bridge. We understand both technology and instinct. We can translate between the different ways of thinking, help species find common ground. In the darkened chamber of the Supreme Director, a very different conversation was taking place. The Void Dominion's ruling council had been summoned to discuss the crisis facing their once unstoppable empire. 7 systems lost in a single year, the Supreme Director hissed from the shadows. Rebellions on 12 worlds. Our forward fleets in disarray. All because of these Earth creatures. The reports are troubling, Supreme Director, said the chief strategist. These Earth forces do not fight like any opponent we have faced before. They do not seek to destroy but to disable. They do not conquer but liberate. And wherever they go, they leave behind defensive systems tailored to the native species. And this new alliance? Growing stronger by the day. 27 confirmed members with at least 15 more considering joining. They are sharing technology, resources, intelligence. The Supreme Director's fist struck the arm of his throne. We have ruled this quadrant for 3 centuries. We will not be undone by animals and their allies. The military commander cleared his throat nervously. Supreme Director, we have analyzed hundreds of battle recordings. We have interrogated captured officers. We have even attempted to acquire specimens of these Earth animals for study. And we have concluded that direct military action against the Alliance is inadvisable at this time. Their defensive capabilities are too well adapted to counter our tactics. And their intelligence network appears to be exceptionally effective. The Supreme Director was silent for a long moment. Are you suggesting surrender, Commander? No, Supreme Director. Strategic realignment. We can consolidate our core territories, strengthen our defenses, develop new technologies and tactics. The Alliance is still young. Time may reveal vulnerabilities we can exploit. A temporary retreat, then, the Supreme Director said bitterly. How the mighty have fallen. Not fallen, Supreme Director. Adapting. As all successful species must. Back on Earth, the planet was experiencing its own transformation. The awakening of animal intelligence had not been limited to those who went to the stars. Throughout the world, the relationship between humans and animals was changing fundamentally. In Kenya, at what had once been the Global Animal Behavior Research Center, Mia Rodriguez led a tour group through the new Interspecies Communication Institute. The facility had been expanded to include training areas, research labs, and embassy spaces for visiting extraterrestrial delegations. Before the call, as we now refer to it, humans and animals lived largely separate lives, she explained to the visitors. We shared our planet, but not our thoughts, our goals, our visions of the future. Now we're learning to truly collaborate. She led the group to an observation area overlooking a large, grassy enclosure, where a herd of elephants was engaged in what appeared to be a complex construction project. Using their trunks with incredible precision, they were assembling components of what looked like a communications array. The elephants are natural engineers, Mia explained. Their spatial reasoning abilities, combined with their new enhanced intelligence, have revolutionized certain fields of technology. This particular design will allow for better translation between species that communicate through methods we hadn't even considered before. Vibrations, electrical fields, even scent patterns. A teenage girl in the tour group raised her hand. My cat started talking last month, she said. Not with words, but I can understand him now. Is that because of the call too? Mia nodded. The effect continues to spread. Not all animals experience the same level of enhancement, but the neural patterns established by the original responders are being passed on, like a language that's gradually being taught. Your cat may never pilot a starship, but the basic connection, the ability to share thoughts and feelings across species barriers, that's becoming universal. And what about the animals who went to space? Asked an older man. Will they come home? Mia's expression grew thoughtful. Some have returned for visits, but many have found a new purpose out there. They're building something important, a different kind of